Hello, everyone. My name is Reggie Holloway, and for those who are returning, welcome back to Outreach with Reggie. And for those who are tuning in for the first time, hello, and welcome to Outreach with Reggie. Before we begin, I want to pause. This past week has been heavy. We've seen more mass shootings since last talking to each other. Mass shootings in Dallas, Indianapolis, Minnesota, Pennsylvania, lives that were stolen too soon. And here in Mississippi, there were two young black men, including 21-year-old Trey Reed, that were found hanging from trees. As investigations are ongoing, the image alone that I do not recommend you go see. It reopens old wounds. It causes more trauma. And for the month of September, that is all that we have seen is pain, trauma, mass killing. So whether suicide or something darker, the echoes of history are clear. These losses are not just statistics, as some may try to persuade you for it to be. These are sons. These are stories of sons, brothers, friends. Their lives matter. So for them, for the many, 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 many victims of these harsh, horrible, heinous crimes, I want to take this time, at least a couple of moments, to pray and give some silence. We hold their families close. We speak their names, and we refuse to let their deaths go in vain. And yet, in grief, we know this: our people have always found a way forward. That being through every attempt that is meant to silence us, break us, and erase us, we've rebuilt. That's why today we're going to be talking about Black led solutions, the builders, the visionaries, the creatives, the blue collars, and overall the everyday folks doing the work to transform pain into power or to just simply survive. So stay tuned for another episode of Outreach with Reggie. Now, to understand why Black led work matters, you have to know the ground we're standing on. Economically, the gap is interesting and staggering. The median Black family's wealth sits around or about $44,000, which is just 15 cents for every dollar held by the average white family. That did not happen by chance. This is a product and a byproduct of the history of things like redlining, denied loans, wage gaps, stolen land, and policies that were stacked against us. Health-wise, the disparities are just as brutal. Statistics shows Black babies die at more than twice the rate of ones of the opposing race, or white babies. Black women are nearly 3 times more likely to die during childbirth, and our life expectancy nearly 5 years shorter on average. And let's talk about democracy. In Georgia, in particular, automatic voter registration through the DMV dropped nearly dropped from nearly 80% a few years ago to just 39%. At the same time, almost 500,000 voters, disproportionately Black and young, are being purged from the rolls. When you add all of this up, you obviously see a picture, or at least you hope to. Systems designed not to support us, but to sideline us. But here is the other truth: we have never been defined by struggle alone. So stay with me as I explain why. As I go into this next segment, I want to share something personal. I, growing up, I had the opportunity, very briefly, as I shared my story before, I grew up basically in the foster care system. But for a brief period of time, this was around me being 4. I just returned to my mom, and pretty much she's on her own. Father was not in the picture. I believe my father passed by this time. But it's 4 of us. My older brother, he has cerebral palsy. The sister under me, she has autism, and my baby sister. And what I learned later in life, actually a month ago, about my mom was that she held on to 2 jobs that she worked while raising 4 kids, and just seeing the struggles that she had to go through to raise all of us. I remember bringing food home from school because I saw my sisters. I wanted to help my mom the best way I could. So seeing my sisters being able to eat some cereal, of course the milk would spoil about time I got home and it'd be all over my book bag, but I just wanted to help. So seeing that my sisters were able to eat the cereal while my mom was working as hard as she could, she tried very hard, and it broke her at times, but she always had people who helped. Sometimes family members would step in once in a while, not often really, and then DFAC stepped in towards the end of it. I bring that story up because I had a visual representation of what hard work looks like in the Black community. And I had a very good, looking back, I had a very good example of somebody, no matter the struggle, finding ways to survive, or at least fight for survival, and to have that resilience until they met their breaking point and pushing past it. And this wasn't, in her story, is one of many. I've watched many neighbors who didn't have much to make sure who didn't have much, but they made sure that no child went hungry. I saw church mothers organize fish fries, not just to raise money, but to pay somebody's light bill down the street, because that's what resilience looked like. I remember seeing, going back to my mom, I witnessed her hook our cables together so we can have TV. And for a period of time, we didn't have much to eat, but that light bill stayed on and we were able to have water for some time. That's what I will say, and I'm thankful. Our communities has always built what we needed. When doors were shut, we made our own. The Black church became more than a place of worship at times. It was a classroom. It was a meeting hall. It was a sanctuary. HBCUs rose when mainstream schools said we didn't belong. Mutual aid networks have always been around long before the term became trendy, because pooling resources has always been how we needed to survive. And it's always been how we survived. When it comes to community gardens, for providing food, after school programs within the community, even parks and neighbors coming hand in hand to raise each other's children, look after them while they were at work. That's how we were able to survive, sticking together and combining resources, pulling them together. And I'm going to insert a quote by Angela Davis because she once said, I am no longer accepting the things that I cannot change. I am changing the things I cannot accept because that is the heartbeat of resilience, of Black resilience. And it's reflective, right? It's reflective within what we have right now. In 2025, you have multiple networking opportunities within the spaces that you are in to build something, to create something, to make it more and more to build within your community. So as I do that, I'm going to highlight some local Black-led solutions, and I'm going to shine a light on some incredible Black-led work happening right now. In the city of Atlanta, there's an organization called Girl Plus Environment. They are bringing youth into environmental justice, fighting for clean air, green space, food access, because pollution and heat don't hit all zip codes equally. And they're saying enough. New Georgia Project. You have heard the name. Beyond voter registration, they are mobilizing young people, Black folks, and immigrants to claim political power. In a state decided by razor-thin margins, their work has reshaped outcomes. Another one is Central Georgia Empowerment Fund. This is community philanthropy in action. Neighbors pooling money to fund Black-led nonprofits, making sure resources stay in Black hands and communities. 100 Black Men of Atlanta. Mentorship saves lives. These brothers step in as role models, tutors, and guides for our youth, showing what is possible beyond the block. Healthy Communities Incorporated. Because health is more than doctors and hospitals. It is housing, food, and mental care. This group connects the dots and advocates to those to close gaps. African Film and Arts Foundation. Because storytelling is power, they uplift Black and diaspora films and artists, making sure our culture, our beauty, our struggle is told through our lens. Now let's zoom out and highlight some more national Black-led work. This organization is called For the Girls, or For the Girls. I apologize if my pronunciation is poor, but it's pronounced GWORLS. For the Girls, which is a Black trans-led collective that raises funds for rent, Medicare, and gender-affirming surgeries. In a country where Black trans lives are under constant threat, their work is literally saving lives. Youth Scene. Focused on Black and brown queer youth, they're providing housing, mental health support, and community. Their message is simple but radical. You deserve safety now. Across the country, organizations like these are stitching together survival and joy, not waiting for permission, not waiting for the system to catch up, but simply pulling resources together, providing safety for our community. And our story isn't just here, across the diaspora, in the Caribbean, in Africa, In South America, you'll see Black communities building under the weight of colonization, displacement, and exploitation. From cooperatives in Ghana to climate justice in the Caribbean to land rights fights in Brazil, the struggle and the resilience are global. We are connected in a long line of resistance and creativity. When you hear these stories together, a pattern is very clear. Black led solutions are rooted in the community. They're creative because survival demands imagination, and they are impactful because they meet real needs: food, housing, health, culture, and power. Because this is not charity, or this isn't just charity. It's not charity at all. It's justice. It's reclamation. It's us saying we don't just survive, we lead. So as we go through, or as we've gone through this episode, we understand, as I said many times throughout this season, gone are the days that we depend on government assistance completely. How we police, how we define safety, how we define education, job placement, jobs. It, we are now in a season, or within a new time, where it's in our hands, where we pour into our communities, where we understand this is the time where we come together, where we are able to decipher how do we go about policing ourselves, go about ourselves, represent ourselves, and change the way that we, our frame rate and our focus and our work that we do. Our framework is the word I was looking for, but nevertheless, this is the time where we as a community, as a collective, pull and pour into those organizations that are doing the framework that we are crying out for. So here's my ask to you. Pick one of these organizations that I mentioned within this episode. Follow them. Donate if you can. If you cannot donate, pouring in does not always look like money. It's a simple follow on social media. If you have 5 minutes, read about their mission. Share their work with someone else who can use it and will use it. Look for Black-led groups in your city. Use directions, hashtags, or even word of mouth. Start small where you are, because a micro mutual aid fund with friends, a food drive, a skill swap, those are things that you can start from, that are seeds. And don't just stop at charity. Push for structural change. Support policies that close the wealth gap, protect voting rights, and expand healthcare. Overall, within everything I said, everything that I've been telling you throughout this season of season one, because we're going to be having a lot more conversations just like this. It is very important that you look with a keen eye of what's going on right now in our nation. When you read these stories, the hangings, the mass shootings, the amount of pain and sorrow that's going on in this world in a rapid rate, I want you to feel what you feel. It's okay to feel. It's okay to feel these things, no matter if it's anger. Be angry. If it's sad, be very sad. If you're struggling with how to feel, That's okay too. But I want to open a different perspective. And I want to challenge you to look beyond what you're going through right now because your voice matters. Not only does it matter, it is needed in this current moment right now. Use your voice. Use your voice. Pour into these things I tell you today, these organizations. Even if it's open discourse, allow yourself to be open minded and to push yourself forward, to have to go beyond the discussion. Because it's easy to talk. It's very easy to talk. We talk every day about things that sometimes matter, sometimes really don't matter. We talk about a lot of things that are good, are bad, but there's power in the tongue. So I would advise you to use your power that you have for good, for change, or at the very least, a spark. And if you're on Spotify, please check out today's poll. Do you support or follow a Black led community group? I love to hear how you're connected. At last, we began with grief, naming lives lost to violence and tragedy. We held silence together. We traveled through hard truths, the wealth gap, the health gap, the voting barriers, but we didn't stop there. We lifted up the organizations, the builders, the mentors, the healers, the storytellers. Ella Baker once said, "Give light and people will find the way." That is what Black led solutions are: light in the darkness, pathways through the pain. So I leave you with this: honor the grief, yes, but do not stop there. Support the solutions, share the stories, be a part of the movement. And I'll add another thing. As you navigate the discourse that's currently going on right now, I want you to give yourself grace and be patient with yourself. For as this is a hard and heavy time, just know that I'm with you, I'm sticking by you, and you're not alone. Because many people are feeling what you're going through right now. This has been Outreach with Reggie. I've been your host, Reggie Holloway. And until next time, keep building, keep resisting, and keep believing in what is possible.